Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! Amid the chaotic backdrop of the airport terminal, where the bustling crowds blended into a blur, a solitary figure stood out among the weary travelers. His rigid posture and the deep creases on his brow hinted at a life ingrained with discipline and, perhaps, a touch of pessimism. With his gaze fixed on his watch, the man seemed to be counting the seconds, eager to escape the madness of missed flights and lost luggage. The overhead announcement, alerting passengers to the arrival of bags, scarcely penetrated the man's awareness. He pushed through the throng, sharing the collective exhaustion of those around him, each bearing the weight of their own woes. He checked his watch again. The lines around his mouth deepened, and for a fleeting moment, his eyes reflected the heaviness of his thoughts. His sister Vanessa waved enthusiastically from a rented convertible, her husband Mark at the wheel. "You finally made it!" Vanessa's smile faltered as she noticed his empty hands. "Where's your luggage?"
"Lost."
Brantley slid into the back seat, next to his niece, who was absorbed in her phone.
"The airline says they'll deliver it when they find it."
"Oh, that's awful." Vanessa twisted in her seat. "The beach house is beautiful, though, and Celeste is already there with her boyfriend. You remember Celeste, right? Our cousin from Mom's side?" Brantley vaguely recalled a spirited woman with a penchant for dramatic stories and colorful clothing from family gatherings years ago. "Sure." The drive to the beach house took 40 minutes, during which Vanessa filled the silence with details about their 2-week vacation plans. Brantley half listened, watching palm trees blur past, and wondering how quickly he could manufacture an emergency to escape back to his peaceful apartment in Chicago. The beach house stood 3 stories tall, with weathered blue siding and a sprawling deck overlooking the ocean. Inside, the space was airy and bright, with white furniture and nautical decor that screamed vacation rental. A woman with caramel-colored hair twisted into a messy bun descended the stairs, arms outstretched. "Brantley! It's been forever!" Celeste hugged him tightly, smelling of coconut sunscreen and something floral. She wore a flowing yellow sundress that swirled around her knees as she moved.
"Good to see you,"
he managed, extracting himself from her embrace. "Where's your stuff?" Celeste asked, looking behind him. After explaining the luggage situation for the second time, Brantley found himself surrounded by sympathetic family members offering solutions. "You can borrow some of Mark's clothes," Vanessa suggested. Mark, who stood nearly 6 inches shorter than Brantley and outweighed him by 50 pounds, nodded unconvincingly.
"We can go shopping tomorrow,"
Celeste's boyfriend offered, not looking up from his laptop. "Nonsense!" Celeste waved her hand dismissively. "I packed enough clothes for a month. You can borrow mine until your suitcase arrives." Brantley blinked. "Your clothes? I don't think—" "We're practically the same height," Celeste continued. "And I brought plenty of loose-fitting things for the beach. You can't wear that button-down for 2 weeks straight." Before Brantley could protest further, Celeste grabbed his wrist and pulled him upstairs to a bedroom decorated in shades of teal and cream. She flung open the closet door, revealing an explosion of colors and patterns. "See? Options!" She began rifling through hangers. "And we have a washer and dryer, so you can rotate through a few things." "Celeste, I appreciate it, but I can't wear your clothes." She turned, a floral maxi dress dangling from her fingers. "Why not? It's just us family here. Besides, what's the alternative? Sweating through that outfit for days? Going naked? Or spending half your vacation at some tourist trap mall buying overpriced basics?" Put that way, The options did seem limited. Still, Brantley crossed his arms. I'll figure something out. Suit yourself? Celeste shrugged, hanging the dress back up. But if you change your mind, my closet is your closet. Night fell, and Brantley tossed in the unfamiliar bed. He'd hand-washed his underwear and socks in the bathroom sink and hung them over the shower rod to dry. The airline had promised delivery within 48 hours, but the customer service representative's voice had lacked conviction. Morning arrived with no sign of his luggage, and the realization that his one outfit already smelled stale from travel sweat and airport grime. The family gathered for breakfast on the deck, discussing plans for their first beach day. Brantley picked at his toast, considering his options. Still nothing from the airline? Vanessa asked, pouring more coffee. Brantley shook his head. My offer stands, Celeste said, spreading jam on her croissant. I've got swimwear too, if you want to join us at the beach. The thought of missing out on the beach, of sitting alone in the house, wearing his increasingly grimy clothes while everyone else enjoyed the sunshine, finally broke his resolve. Fine, he sighed. Maybe just for today. Celeste beamed. Perfect! Let's find you something after breakfast. Back in her room, Celeste pulled out several options, laying them across the bed. These are the least feminine things I brought. This wrap skirt can totally pass as a sarong. Guys wear those at beaches all the time. Brantley eyed the patterned fabric dubiously. And these dresses are basically just long t-shirts, super comfortable in this heat. She held up a simple blue maxi dress with thin straps.
No one will care. It's a beach vacation.
After some negotiation, Brantley reluctantly accepted the least conspicuous options, a pair of linen shorts with an elastic waistband. They're technically women's shorts, but who can tell? And a loose white sleeveless top that Celeste insisted was practically unisex. He changed in his bedroom, surprised by how soft the fabric felt against his skin. The shorts were shorter than he would have chosen, ending mid-thigh, but they fit comfortably around his waist. The top hung loosely from his shoulders, the armholes slightly too wide, revealing glimpses of his chest when he moved. Looking in the mirror, Brantley felt strange but not entirely uncomfortable. The outfit was certainly cooler than his button-down and khakis. You look great! Celeste exclaimed when he emerged. Just one thing. She stepped forward and adjusted the neckline of the top. There, perfect. The others barely glanced at his borrowed outfit as they gathered beach supplies and headed down the wooden walkway to the shore. Only his niece raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. The sand burned beneath his bare feet as they set up umbrellas and beach chairs. Celeste had lent him a pair of flip-flops with small pink flowers on the straps, but he'd left them with the rest of their belongings. Coming in? Mark called, already wading into the water with Vanessa. Brantley hesitated at the shoreline. He hadn't borrowed swimwear, unsure about crossing that particular line. The water's amazing! Celeste splashed past him, wearing a bright red bikini that contrasted with her tanned skin. You should at least get your feet wet. Rolling up the already short linen shorts slightly higher, Brantley stepped into the cool water. The waves lapped around his calves, surprisingly pleasant after the hot sand. The day passed in a blur of swimming, beach walks, and relaxing under the umbrella with a book borrowed from the house's small library. By sunset, Brantley had almost forgotten about his unusual attire. Dinner was grilled fish and vegetables on the deck, accompanied by several bottles of white wine. As the conversation flowed along with the alcohol, Brantley found himself relaxing for the first time since arriving. Any word from the airline? Vanessa asked, as they cleared the dishes.
No.
Brantley checked his phone.
Nothing.
Celeste's clothes look good on you, his niece commented unexpectedly. The white top brings out your tan. Brantley felt his cheeks warm, unsure how to respond.
Thanks, I guess.
Later, showered and facing another day of uncertainty, Brantley surveyed the clothes Celeste had left for him. Among them was a simple floral sundress with a flowing skirt and modest neckline. He touched the fabric, running his fingers over the small yellow flowers scattered across the blue background. On impulse, he slipped it over his head. The dress settled around him, the fabric light and breezy against his skin. He turned to the mirror, surprised by the transformation. The dress cinched slightly at his waist before flaring out, creating a silhouette he'd never considered for himself. The hemline hit just below his knees, and the cap sleeves covered his shoulders. A knock at the door startled him. "Brantley, you decent!" Celeste's voice called. Just a second." He moved to take off the dress, then paused. Celeste had offered her clothes, after all. There was nothing inappropriate about trying them on. "Come in." The door opened, and Celeste's eyes widened. "Oh, I was bringing you more options, but I see you found the sundress." Brantley smoothed the fabric self-consciously.
"Just trying it on."
"It looks better on you than me," Celeste said, setting down an armful of clothes. "That blue really suits your complexion." "I should change."
"Why?"
"If it's comfortable, wear it. No one here will judge you." She studied him thoughtfully. "Actually, let me grab something else." She returned with a wide-brimmed straw hat and a tube of sunscreen. "If you're going to wear that dress to the beach, you'll need these."
"Your shoulders will burn otherwise."
The simplicity of her reaction, no judgment, no questions, just practical advice, made something tight in Brantley's chest loosen.
"I don't know if I'm brave enough to wear it outside,"
he admitted. Celeste sat on the edge of the bed. "Can I tell you something? When I was 23, I shaved my head. Not for any reason. I just wanted to know what it felt like. My mother didn't speak to me for a month." She laughed. "It's just hair, just clothes. None of it matters, really." Brantley touched the flowing skirt again.
"I've never worn anything like this."
"And? How does it feel?" "Different, but not bad." "Then that's all that matters." She stood. "Breakfast in 20. Wear whatever makes you comfortable." After she left, Brantley looked in the mirror again. The man staring back at him looked unfamiliar, yet somehow right in the floral dress. Making a decision, he reached for the straw hat. Breakfast was a casual affair, with family members wandering onto the deck as they woke. Brantley's heart hammered as he stepped outside in the sundress, hat shading his face. Mark glanced up, nodded, and returned to his coffee. Vanessa did a double take, but quickly recovered. "That color suits you," she said, passing him the orange juice. No one else commented, and gradually Brantley's tension eased. By the time they headed to the beach, the dress felt natural, the fabric swishing pleasantly around his legs as he walked. That evening, Brantley received a call from the airline.
"I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell, but we've located your luggage in Melbourne."
"Australia?" Brantley asked, incredulous. "No, sir, Florida, but we're experiencing staffing shortages, and it will be approximately 5 to 7 business days before we can deliver it to your location." After ending the call, Brantley found he wasn't as upset as he expected. Celeste's closet had proven more than adequate, and there was something liberating about the flowing fabrics and bright colors so different from his usual muted wardrobe. The next morning, Celeste knocked on his door with a small makeup bag. "Thought you might want this. For the sun, you know." She demonstrated how to apply tinted moisturizer with SPF and a touch of lip balm.
"Protects against sunburn and chapping."
Brantley found himself nodding along, watching carefully as she explained each product. The tinted moisturizer evened out his complexion, hiding the redness that had developed despite his careful application of sunscreen. "Your eyelashes are incredible," Celeste noted. "If you ever wanted to try mascara, you'd barely need it."
"Maybe someday,"
Brantley replied, surprising himself with the response. Day 3 of the vacation brought a shopping trip to a nearby town. While the others explored art galleries and souvenir shops, Brantley found himself drawn to a small boutique with colorful displays in the window.
"Want to look inside?"
Celeste appeared at his elbow, following his gaze. The shop was cool and smelled of vanilla. Racks of sundresses, flowing pants, and gauzy tops lined the walls. Brantley moved through the space cautiously, touching fabrics and examining patterns.
"Can I help you find anything?"
The shop assistant, a woman with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes, approached them.
"Just browsing,"
Brantley mumbled. "My cousin lost his luggage," Celeste explained. "He's been borrowing my clothes, but we thought he might want some of his own." The assistant took this in stride. "We have some lovely pieces that would suit your frame. The maxi dresses in particular are very flattering on taller individuals." With Celeste and the assistant's encouragement, Brantley found himself in a fitting room with an armful of garments. A deep green maxi dress with a subtle leaf pattern, a pair of white linen pants with a matching tunic top, a swimsuit cover-up in sheer blue fabric. Each item fit better than expected, designed for his height in ways Celeste's borrowed clothes weren't. Standing before the mirror in the green dress, Brantley felt a strange sense of recognition, as if seeing himself clearly for the first time. He left the shop with 3 bags and a lighter wallet, but a curious lightness in his chest as well. "You know what would look amazing with that green dress?" Celeste said as they walked back toward the beach house. "Some simple gold jewelry. I have hoop earrings that would be perfect." "I don't have pierced ears," Brantley pointed out. "I have clip-ons too, for when my lobes need a break." That night, dressed in his new green maxi dress with Celeste's gold clip-on earrings and a touch of her coral lipstick, Brantley joined the family for dinner at an upscale restaurant overlooking the ocean. The hostess greeted them with a warm smile, her eyes moving over the party. "Table for 6? Right this way, ladies and gentlemen." The moment passed without comment, but Brantley felt a strange thrill at being included in the ladies' portion of the greeting. He found himself adjusting his posture, softening his walk as they followed the hostess to their table. During the meal, a waiter approached with wine recommendations. "And what would the lady in green prefer? We have a lovely Chardonnay that complements the seafood beautifully."
"That sounds perfect,"
Brantley replied, voice slightly higher than usual. Later, catching his reflection in the restaurant's bathroom mirror, Brantley studied the person looking back at him. Brown hair, now growing slightly shaggy after missing his regular haircut appointment before the trip. Features softened by the subtle makeup Celeste had applied. The green dress highlighting his narrow waist and broad shoulders in a way that somehow looked elegant rather than masculine. For the first time, he allowed himself to consider a new name, something that suited the person emerging during this unexpected journey. The idea floated in his mind throughout the night, taking shape as he lay in bed, watching shadows play across the ceiling. On the 5th day of vacation, the family planned a boat tour to watch dolphins. As everyone gathered their things, Celeste appeared in Brantley's doorway with a package. "I got you something," she said, handing over a gift bag with tissue paper sprouting from the top. Inside was a red swimsuit, a one-piece with a modest neckline and ruching across the torso. "It has padding in the chest," Celeste explained, "and it's designed to flatter all body types. I thought you might want to actually swim today." Brantley touched the fabric, throat tight with unexpected emotion. "Thank you."
There's something else in there, too.
Beneath the swimsuit lay a slip of paper, a gift certificate for a local salon.
"I thought you might want to do something with your hair," Celeste said.
"It's growing out nicely, but a proper cut would shape it around your face better." The salon appointment was scheduled for that afternoon, after the boat tour. In the meantime, Brantley faced the challenge of wearing the swimsuit in public. In the privacy of his room, he slipped into the red one-piece, adjusting the built-in padding to create the illusion of a feminine chest. The swimsuit hugged his body, the ruching disguising his flat stomach and narrower hips. He added the sheer blue cover-up from his shopping trip, which floated around him like water. "You look amazing!" Celeste exclaimed when he emerged. "Red is absolutely your color." The boat tour passed in a blur of sparkling water, playful dolphins, and the strange new sensation of feeling the sun on parts of his body usually covered by fabric. The swimsuit felt secure and comfortable, and under the cover-up, most details were obscured anyway. When they returned to shore, Celeste accompanied Brantley to the salon appointment. The stylist, a woman with vibrant purple hair, listened attentively as Brantley hesitantly explained what he wanted. "Something more feminine, but still professional. I work in an office."
"I'm thinking a long bob with some layers to soften your jawline,"
the stylist suggested.
"We could add some highlights too, if you want."
Brantley watched in the mirror as his shaggy brown hair transformed. The stylist shaped it skillfully, creating a style that curved gently around his face and brushed his shoulders. The subtle highlights caught the light, giving dimension to the rich brown color.
"What do you think?"
the stylist asked, turning the chair so Brantley could see the finished result. The person in the mirror looked polished, confident, and undeniably feminine.
"It's perfect,"
Brantley whispered. That night, getting ready for dinner, Brantley borrowed more of Celeste's makeup, carefully following her previous demonstrations. Foundation to smooth his complexion, a touch of blush on his cheekbones, mascara that made his eyes look wider, more expressive.
"Can I ask you something?"
he said, as Celeste showed him how to apply eyeliner. "Of course. How would you feel about calling me Brielle? Just while we're here." Celeste's hand stilled. "Brielle, I like it. It suits you." She smiled at him in the mirror. "Brielle it is." At dinner, Celeste made the announcement casually. "By the way, everyone, Brantley prefers Brielle now, and she'd appreciate feminine pronouns." There was a moment of silence, then nods of acceptance around the table. Mark raised his glass.
"To Brielle, then, and to finding yourself on vacation."
The rest of the family followed suit, clinking glasses and continuing the meal as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But for Brielle, the world had shifted on its axis. The remaining days of vacation took on a dreamlike quality. Brielle wore her new clothes and Celeste's borrowed pieces with increasing confidence. She learned to apply makeup without assistance, discovering a steady hand for eyeliner and a preference for coral-toned lipsticks that brightened her complexion. On the beach, she wore the red swimsuit proudly, no longer hiding beneath the cover-up. She let Celeste paint her toenails a shimmering sand color and her fingernails a pale pink that looked natural and professional. The airline called on day 9 to say they'd located her luggage in Miami and would deliver it the following day. Brielle realized with a start that she had no desire to see her old clothes, the button-downs and khakis that belonged to a different person. When the suitcase finally arrived, she opened it in her room alone, running her fingers over the familiar fabrics. The clothes smelled like her apartment in Chicago, like the life she'd been living on autopilot for years. She repacked the suitcase with most of its original contents, adding only a framed photo of her family on the beach, all smiling in the golden sunset light. Then she slid it under the bed and returned to the deck where Celeste was reading. "Luggage arrive?" Celeste asked, looking up from her book. "Yes, I put it away." Celeste nodded, understanding without needing explanation. "We're going dancing tonight. That new club near the pier. You should wear the green dress." The club was dimly lit with colored lights painting the walls in blues and purples. Music pulsed through the space, not too loud but energetic enough to draw people to the dance floor. Brielle wore the green maxi dress with Celeste's gold hoop earrings and strappy sandals that showed off her painted toenails. "Can I buy you a drink?" A man appeared at her elbow as she watched Celeste and her boyfriend dancing. Brielle turned, startled. The man was tall with kind eyes and an easy smile.
Sure. Vodka soda, please."
While he went to the bar, Vanessa materialized beside her.
"That guy's checking you out. You okay with that?"
Brielle considered the question. "I think so. Yes."
"Just be safe. And remember, you don't owe anyone anything."
Vanessa squeezed her arm before disappearing back into the crowd. The man returned with drinks.
"I'm Daniel,"
he said, handing Brielle her vodka soda.
"Brielle."
The name felt natural on her lips now, as if it had always been hers. "Are you visiting? I haven't seen you around before."
"Family vacation. We're here for another 3 days."
Daniel nodded.
"Well, Brielle, would you like to dance?"
The dance floor was crowded but not uncomfortable. Daniel kept a respectful distance, moving to the music without invading her space. Brielle found herself relaxing, enjoying the rhythm and the novel sensation of dancing in a flowing dress. Later, as they cooled off with fresh drinks, Daniel leaned closer to be heard above the music.
"You have the most amazing eyes. They catch the light like amber."
Brielle felt a blush warm her cheeks. "Thank you."
"Would it be too forward to ask for your number? Maybe we could have coffee before you leave town."
The question brought reality crashing back. What was she doing? What would happen when she returned to Chicago, to her job, her apartment, her life? "I'm sorry," she said finally. I'm going through some changes right now. I'm not ready for anything." Daniel nodded, disappointment evident, but his smile still kind.
"I understand. If you change your mind, I'm usually at the Coastal Cafe in the mornings. It was nice meeting you, Brielle."
Later that night, sitting on the beach house deck with Celeste as the others slept, Brielle voiced her fears. "What happens when we go home? Do I just go back to being Brantley? Pretend this never happened?" Celeste was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the moonlight reflecting on the water. "Do you want to go back?" she asked finally. "No," Brielle admitted. "But I don't know how to be
This, in real life, at work, with friends who've known me for years. You start small, Celeste said. Maybe you don't wear dresses to the office right away. Maybe you begin with growing out your hair, wearing more androgynous clothes, finding a therapist who specializes in gender identity. She turned to face Brielle. Or maybe you dive in headfirst. Move to a new city. Start fresh somewhere no one knows your history. Both options sound terrifying. Of course they do. But so was wearing my sundress to breakfast that first day. So was going to the beach in a swimsuit. You did those things anyway. Brielle thought about the suitcase hidden under her bed, filled with clothes that no longer felt like hers, about the way her heart had lifted when her family began using her new name without hesitation, about the reflection in the mirror that finally felt right. I don't want to lose this, she said softly. Feeling comfortable in my own skin. Then don't. Celeste placed her hand over Brielle's. Whatever you decide, you have all of us. Family first, remember? On the final day of vacation, Brielle wore a simple blue sundress as they packed up the beach house. Her newly styled brown hair was pulled back with a headband, and she wore minimal makeup, just tinted moisturizer, mascara, and lip balm. As they loaded the cars, Mark approached her with a small package. From all of us, he said, for the journey home. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a pendant shaped like a small wave.
To remember where Brielle was born,
the card read, signed by everyone. Tears pricked at her eyes as she fastened it around her neck. Thank you for everything. The drive to the airport was filled with conversations about keeping in touch and planning the next family vacation. No one mentioned Brielle's transformation directly, but Vanessa made a point of sharing her therapist's contact information in case you want to talk to someone in Chicago. At the airport gate, Celeste hugged her tightly. Don't forget to text when you land, and let me know if you need anything. Advice, more clothes, whatever. I will. Brielle clutched her carry-on bag, which contained only her new clothes and necessities. The old suitcase had been donated to a local shelter, its contents no longer serving any purpose in her life. Boarding the plane, Brielle settled into her seat and looked out the window at the Florida coastline. 2 weeks ago, she had arrived as Brantley, irritated by the prospect of a forced family vacation and the inconvenience of lost luggage. Now, as the plane lifted into the clouds, Brielle pressed her fingers against the wave pendant at her throat and smiled. The journey ahead would be challenging, filled with difficult conversations and decisions. But for the first time in memory, she was flying towards something rather than away, her path illuminated by the simple truth of who she was meant to be. As the coastline disappeared beneath the clouds, Brielle opened the Notes app on her phone and began to type. Day 1 of the rest of my life. Today, I choose to be authentic. Today, I choose to be me.
Thanks for watching, my girlies. Be sure to check out Patreon for more.